Hello, welcome to another tonalist landscape oil painting demonstration. This is your painter in residence, M. Francis McCarthy. And the painting I'm bringing you today is called Near the Paddock. It's an 8x12, and I painted this last week. Pretty happy with it. I think a lot of the heavy lifting in this one was done in this drawing phase you're seeing right now. That's a bit of burn umber with some perylene black. Just to kind of balance out the red. I have painted this scene before. I think back in my early texture days, so that would be 2017 or something like that, I'm guessing. I'm kind of remembering doing it as 10 by 14. I was into that size. Anyway, this is an 8 by 12, and it was fun to do, and I kind of got just a bit imaginative with the brushwork, especially I would say in the drawing stage. The thing I was thinking about, I was gonna maybe put off this video recording until tomorrow, but I kind of had an idea that the thing I wanted to talk about was trees and tree shapes, because that's the main thing that jumps out here, and maybe giving you some insight and tips. I'm not going to say I'm the best ever at the old tree, but I've done a lot of them. I have a lot of thoughts about it. Well, maybe not a lot, but I have a few prescient thoughts, being a guy that paints trees, and maybe you might get something from it. Well, let's start with those ones I just did off on our left-hand side there. I ended up really avoiding that. I avoided those verticals altogether, sticking with horizontals. Now the horizontals got me, you can see I kind of integrate bits of it. That was to me like one of the most challenging bits. But let's zoom out a little. What's the main thing you got to know about painting trees, drawing trees? Same difference, really. Not exactly the same difference, but right now, even though we're using paint, I would consider this more of a drawing exercise. You see before you. You got to simplify things. And I mentioned this in one of our last videos here. You got to know what you like, Now, the way a branch bends or connects or moves up or down has got to be a certain way. And not to contradict myself, but that way may not be the way it is in the reference. And you might go, well, that's nature, man. Okay, yeah, that's true. But we got to go back to the very first principle. First principles are operative here. You got to simplify, okay? And by simplifying, you need to have a logic. Here's a real big pointer. This may sound a bit dim, but I see it all the time in the work of painters starting out and drawers, the same. The trunk should be the thickest bit of your tree. Oh, come on, Mike. We all know that. Yeah, but you be careful. You can get into places where you're adding weight up high, which might actually be thicker. So watch that. Also, watch out for getting into little tiny itsy bitsy little bits, okay? That stuff ain't going to save your tree. No way, no how. I'll just give you some more tips as they come to me here. Okay, so you see all these bunches of leaves I put in, and maybe you noticed I put those in initially with a paper towel. You might go, well, you spent all this time carefully drawing those trees. Why would you, just risk messing it up with a paper towel? Well, you got to get the masses right, and having a bit of abstraction can be very helpful. You cannot, when you're looking at your reference image, you'll see some masses, and you'll do your best to delineate those, I'm sure, and no doubt you'll be inspired or influenced by the approaches to this problem that artists in the past and artists in the present that you admire utilize. You may have some ideas, maybe you've copied some of their paintings or drawings, etc., but you've got to have a logic behind those masses. They can't be too dense or it doesn't feel like leafy, airy trees. Um, if they're too sparse or Spartan, that doesn't work. And in the reference, you'll just see, especially if it's a good resolution, you'll just see hundreds of thousands of leaves, little individual leaves. So something like a paper towel and or a really big brush. I take off my glasses because I'm nearsighted. Oh yeah, okay, now you can see I've got some sky holes in here. Many of these sky holes will be eliminated before the end of the painting. Especially I want you to notice the one on our far left. It's going to be gone, as is most of the ones on the far right, our far right. So sky holes is way, let's do another way more or less than you think. You can hardly even go by the reference, okay? You look at the work of the masters, even ones that have what seems to be quite a few sky holes in their paintings, you're going to notice that if you look at an equivalent photo of the same scene, which by the way, you can see the reference photo for the scene in the members area. That's $6 a month. I recommend it. You will probably enjoy it. Real-time videos at 4K, no ads. And you can just keep them open in a tab and make your way through them in real time. Anyway, here's an ad for our book. Now, I've got several orders for books. And I'm always happy about that because I worked very hard on the book. You know, it's very dense with distilled knowledge. Like many of the tips I'm laying on you now are in this book. And probably ones I'm not even remembering, to be honest. So go check it out. $60 US, includes international shipping. All right, so the edges of the trees and how they're defined. Now, one of my things is that I have some ideas. I'm blocking things in. Of course, I'm looking at the reference, but I'm not actually 100% defining the edges of the trees until the sky goes in. In this case, I chose to kind of almost have a foggy sort of hazy. I think it's a field back behind the trees, but we can't even tell because I just painted it with this sort of creamish tone. I should point out there it's not a tree tip, but notice how I've got a gradation of color there, and also it's kind of evident the strokes and brushwork there too. Now, if you can get away with having that broken brushwork and it's not distracting, that's really a great thing to do. However, you know, almost every painting starts a brushwork like this, and you can just blend it all out. I don't think that looks good either. So, you know, it depends on the painting. I think that's one of the things that might define the style of a piece, but that's not the topic of this video. We're going to make this intensively about trees because there's a lot to know, although maybe I've even done it all. Let's see. Let's just keep going. Yeah, so tree holes, you gotta eliminate most of them, and it's okay if that doesn't happen until later in the painting too, because it's often hard to judge until you get everything rendered in. Okay, so you know what you can do instead. Let's see, these are all great tips, by the way. You know what you can do instead of a sky hole is you could just do your brightest tree color and get a similar sort of effect. But tree holes, you go, what's the problem with the tree holes, man? Well, let me tell you, they are holes. And you get this kind of cookie cutter effect, you know. Even if you make the edges of them soft, it's an area of contrast. And it's because it's an area of contrast. Areas of contrast command attention, right? So that's something always to keep in mind. Yeah, to me the center of interest in this painting is that one darkest tree, you know, and everything else is supporting that. I mentioned fog though, and it's definitely crossed my mind after this painting's liquid. It's going to be for sale in my store in its current shape, but I may contemplate at some point doing a bit of a scumble on those and just really getting that foggy effect across. So I don't know. Anyway, so other things with trees. Abstraction is your friend, and you need to, one of the things that I both love and hate about my paintings is the shapes of my trees. I feel like I can't escape them no matter what, no matter how I try to adjust or change things. I can never escape that signature feeling of the shapes of my trees. And I don't know, no one else has ever commented on it to me, but it's a thing, I could easily pick one of my paintings out from across the room of a wall of landscapes just because of that. So, and it's neither something to embrace or run away from, but your trees will be very unique to you as well, and should be, especially if you do a lot of them. And that's a given, of course. If you want to get good at painting trees, you got to really paint a lot of them. And they present a myriad of challenges. The main one being the simplification, but also, let's talk about the number one biggest problem with painting for most people, and which is the edges of the trees and where they meet the sky. Now, that's been a problem even for extremely accomplished painters that were masters of the past. You look at the work of, say, and I could be wrong, but I'm thinking like someone like Claude Lorraine pops to mind, who was brilliant. These brilliant, incredibly detailed and wonderful compositions, landscape compositions. However, his trees often look like they were sort of pasted over the sky to me. And again, I haven't seen much of his work in real life, so if you're a fan, I'm not trying to diss Claude. He just comes to mind because he's one of the biggest of the old time masters. And even his stuff was rarely pure landscape. It had figures, buildings, that kind of thing in it. Anyway, this was constant problem even in the work. You'd see landscape work in the background of the masters too, and the trees would be good. They do their bit with those edges, but it wasn't really until people like Constable, and especially, I think Constable did a good job with his tree edges, but the real master, the real innovator, was Camille Corot. And he's a great guy to study. And I've had the good fortune of seeing his work in real life, and he would accomplish the effect by bringing in a lot of the sky color into the trees, and a lot of the tree color into the obviously the shapes. It always had a soft feel, and you could always feel the air in his trees, and that was a massive innovation on his part, and just picked up and accepted now. Everyone sort of does that. But so there's a great tip for you on your edges. Keep a little of that sky color around, and bring a little bit of that into your lighter green tones and things, and use that on the very edge of your trees. That can be magical. And there's another tip for you here. Don't get too precious about things. Just get it down, get it done. Wet on wet's usually best, because you don't want to get too self-conscious. You don't want to get stiff. You got to be working to just express yourself, and you'll have ideas as you work. I could do this, I could do that, I could do it this way, I could do it that way, so on and so forth, and that's all good. You should really explore those ideas by actually doing them. That's the way you get good at trees. Now see that area there, there's little bits of straight lines. I had already kind of solved that, but it kept creeping back in, and I come back in here in a little bit and adjust that the next day. So the painting may look a little duller than it is in real life. That's always a challenge with these videos. Yeah, I hear my talking there. Now it looks not that much different, but we break it up a little. Oh, I did break it up a little, yeah. And I'm happy with that. So thanks for joining me today. I really appreciate it. I know you got a lot of videos on YouTube you could be watching, but hopefully you get some value here. And if you're into painting trees, man, there was a lot of tips in this one. So if you got some value from it, give me a nice comment, if you got some extra money, you can go to my site, you could buy a little painting, you can buy my book, or you could just send me a donation. Lots of people have done that, and they're wonderful people. I'm so thankful. Anyway, until I come back with another video for your edification and enjoyment, do me a favor, do me a solid, take good care of yourself, your family, all your loved ones. Stay out of trouble, and God bless you and your family.